Be serious.
All right. Okay, they said I don't have to be serious. Tim said I don't have to be
No
serious.
dangers.
Okay, good evening, everyone.
There was no way.
This is the January 5th Charter Committee. And tonight we're going to continue our work on the charter. Basically, yeah, quite a few things are related to that, but they're just, we'll go through them as we go through them, I guess. Is there any public input? Not so far. You want to do minutes first? We get that out of the way? Why don't we do that? Why don't we do minutes first? From December 15th? No, from December 30th it would have been, right?
15.
15th is it? Yeah, we didn't meet on December 30th. Jeez, not that bad. Okay.
Sounds like a great New Year's Eve.
You probably did.
Yeah. More than, anyway. Okay, December 15th minutes. Anybody want to make a motion?
Move approval. Second.
Okay, are there any questions or corrections or anything?
No.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all opposed?
Abstain.
Okay, passed. All right, so, first thing on my list is the FinCom makeup. We had the one seat from the Board of Assessors. We were discussing whether that should stay with the Board of Assessors, if in fact we're gonna have them appointed going forward. Because that would be more or less in the Board of Assessors, in the Select Board's responsibility or sphere of influence, however you want to look at it. What I heard from the committee, mostly last time, is that we liked the way Littleton did it in terms of having people come from different segments, because it kind of was, the diversity was the main thing. And with that suggestion, or with that thought, I thought if we wanted to have somebody else other than the Board of Assessors do that, another appointment, that the library trustees might be a good option, just because they're actually doing outreach. It's definitely a different segment that we don't normally get tied in here, and so it's just a suggestion, though. I don't know if anybody else had any further thoughts on that, or how they wanted to go with that, or not.
I mean, they have a fairly substantial budget. I mean, they're bigger than the assessors, for instance, or.
Yeah, I mean, the assessors have other influence on other things,
Yeah.
obviously, revenue, but they do, and, yeah.
And they probably would like it.
Or anybody feels should stay with the Board of Assessors, or anything else?
My only thought is that all of the people that are being suggested as appointers are elected, except, I believe, are we moving to have the Board of Assessors appointed?
Yes, that's what's driving this whole conversation.
Okay, so I guess I do like the premise that people who do appointing are elected. They're the voice of the people.
Right.
That was I believe the notion that was advanced. So if we're gonna stick with this approach of having multiple people appoint finance committee members, I guess I would be in favor of having those entities be elected entities or people. And all of them, except for the Board of Assessors, are elected, I believe.
Which would
Okay.
be in
Will be.
favor of the library
So you're
trustees
basically, you're
then.
just going.
I would, because I think they're
Yeah.
elected.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
So would elected be the only criteria, and are there other elected boards that would feel slighted or that they should have a voice in it?
I don't know, I went through the boards using your spreadsheet, and they were the ones that jumped out to me, that they were big enough. I mean, there's multiple people on that, and we know they're doing that outreach campaign to get people on this, so they just, again, in terms of that concept of just,
We had a lot of discussion as well around the library board of trustees when we were discussing them, that there's a lot of independence and neutrality there, and there's they're a kind of protected status almost. So I do like that, because it kind of reinforces a little bit of that neutrality and autonomy. And then I like that it would, potentially open up a different pool of candidates.
Actually, it wouldn't make sense to add anybody else because there's only so many positions.
Right.
Never mind, I withdraw the question.
could have been somebody other than them, so.
Yeah.
but-
No, I think that's a good group.
Okay. All right, if somebody want to make a motion, you want to go with that, or at least, I mean, again, nothing's final, it's where we are now, and change.
What's the motion, or what's?
That the final spot, how do we want to say it, on the, well, basically, instead of the Board of Assessors appointing someone to the Finance Committee, it would be the library trustees.
Got
And I've
it.
not talked to the library trustees about this either, by the way, but
I don't think they'd say no.
I don't think so. But
Any thoughts from our select board participant tonight on that notion?
I think it's fine if you pick the trustees. I think it's fine if you leave it as assessors.
So the select board would continue to, everything else would stay the same, select board 2, and I forget, but.
the only other thing we changed was, it used to say water, now we're gonna say electric light.
Yep.
Electric department, yeah, or committee, or whatever they are.
Other way, right?
Other way around?
Other way
Okay, well, sorry.
Just say electric's gonna
Never
sound.
mind, that's right. Instead of electric, now it's gonna say water. Correct. Thank you for that. Okay? So I need a motion and a second. What I said, right?
What you said. I make a motion that we recommend the construct that you outlined. In other words, eliminating the Board of Assessors as an appointer and replacing the Board of Assessors with a member from the Library Commission.
Or
Well, the library trustees.
Trustees.
As a group
would appoint, yeah.
would appoint them.
Yeah.
Someone, yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
I'll second that.
Second, all right. Any more discussion? Those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Yes, opposed? Or is that an aye?
Opposed.
You- Okay. All right. Okay, so the financial procedures, as I mentioned before, I don't intend to go into detail on that tonight again. I've seen a couple of different proposals, I've been out talking to people, I need some more time myself to just kind of noodle it and think about it. Be thinking though about not only the proposals that we have, but just take a step back and what do we want this to do, right? What do we want to be in the charter? Regardless of what other towns are doing or whatever, what do we really want to have in there? And give that some thought, and then hopefully by the next meeting, we'll have something, we've talked to some people and come to some compromises or not, and put something else together we can talk about, okay? Is there any specific comment you had about, after looking at the documents that were sent, that anything special that you want to say about those?
So I listened into the last
Mhm.
meeting, and then I tried to kind of let it all go and then revisit and say, I think it was Steve that posed a question, like what high level elements do you want to see in a charter and what is the purpose of the charter? So when I jotted those down, I think we have sort of 3 or 4 of 5 already in that language. We have the balanced budget requirement is already in there. The maintenance of a financial management policy is already in there. The audit is already in there. And sorry, I think there was actually just 4, yeah. Then the 2 that I still, I guess, have questions, and this is where I think that mulling is going to help, is at what level exactly do we want to clarify roles and sequencing? Sort of that high level of roles and sequencing without going into the nitty-gritty. And then also this notion of financial oversight and the independence and accountability of FinCom. I felt like those 5 things, even if you just went boop, 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 like it doesn't have to be lengthy, but the sequencing of the roles and the sequencing, and then this notion that FinCom as a sort of accountable to the taxpayer, like autonomous, but I think that language would be helpful in the charter. But I intentionally obviously didn't want to get into the weeds of the nitty-gritty of the language.
What did you mean by sequencing?
Like what happens first and what happens second. But again, like it's that balance between, you don't want to reiterate all the nitty-gritty, but you want, it's like that's the part that I just listening into the last meeting, I was like, where's that balance? Yeah.
Yep. That's it, and then the other key point really is who owns the budget, right? Is in fact, the town manager, along with the all the departments and so on come up with a budget, they come up with a balanced budget, they present it to FinCom and Select Board. And at that point, does FinCom own it? Do they have authority to drive everything? And they're the ones that present it to town meeting. Well, they'll present it to town meeting, I think, anyway. But how much do they own it versus, well, they're advisors.
It's an advisory
That's
board.
Right.
well,
And I think that the one thing that kept coming up for me is like preserving the well-functioning checks and balances
Yep.
that we already have in place and avoiding future ambiguity. And if we can strike that balance,
Yep.
it seems good to me. And then I also noted, I mean, we had extensive conversations previously about the personnel policy, but we didn't look at the personnel policy because it's like, so I sort of see a similar, like a parallel situation here where the charter is tackling the big stuff, and I don't think we even, I know I didn't actually really like look at it in depth, right? Because it's, the point is that it's there. And so I saw a parallel with the financial policy, that it's there and then we can reference it at a high level. But yeah, that was a few thoughts.
I tend to agree, just high level, not wanting to dive down into the ditch tonight, because I tend to agree with that less is more in the charter as it relates to all things finance. And I think it's very important, what is the role of the FinCom? What's, with respect to the budget, who's responsible for preparing, who collaborates? There's some, I went over these documents, we've got to get our terms very careful in this space, because it says one place it says the town manager shall prepare. So we've got to get our terms well defined, it seems to me, who presents and those kind of things. But my sense was that we were leaning in the direction of less is more. And then I saw some of the more detailed stuff that came out, and I'm not sure of its origins, and it's not so that leads to my other point would be, how many alternatives are we looking at, basically? Is it a skinny alternative and a more detailed? Is that what we're talking about, those two approaches that we can, when we do talk about it in detail?
okay. And again, the other thing that always comes back to my mind when I was being on FinCom was the whole AAA bond rating. We don't want to mess something up, because it saves the town literally millions of dollars. So whatever it is, and obviously, regardless of that, you want to have something that makes sense and
What would mess it up? Like, just as a
if you just,
discussion?
I mean, the thing about the getting the bond rating is not only having your financials in good order, but that you have a financial policies document and you follow it. It's really, that's really one of the key things they look at. You've got documents there and you follow those. And so just making sure that we don't do something to make it, because there have been, even over time, people that have said, it's a suggestion, we don't really have to do it. And so we gotta be careful of that. So. Okay, thank you for that. Oh, go ahead, go ahead, Rob.
So I'm going to hand out this, please pass that around and give Mark and Steve a copy. I felt like I was putting together something in writing that could not be shared outside of open meeting law, so I'm passing it around tonight. We don't have to get into it. It does get into the weeds. It gives perspective, some of the things you've talked about. I think it addresses both Kevin and Charlotte's comments. It briefly mentions the AAA bond rating and where I'm committed to doing that, and I also continue to present my willingness to allow FinCom to present the budget at the annual meeting, because we have a Finance Committee bylaw that says, in the absence of a Select Board bylaw, then Finance Committee presents it. But it gives the framework for you, so that when we discuss this at the next meeting, you'll know where I'm coming from. It also makes reference to things that are really grounded me, and I just want to point them out, and I briefly put them. If some of you want to, contact me or look up the other references. Our charge provides for references the government structure review of July of '24. There's another DLS memo in 2021 when 3 of you were either Select Board or Finance Committee members. I make reference to that because those two documents from independent DLS identify extensively with regard to their thoughts and their perspectives with regard to this whole finance processes and where they recommend we go, et cetera. So this grounds me, and it's on that basis that I didn't think I could distribute it to others,
Okay.
potentially starting a sequential problem with open law,
Yep.
open meeting law.
Yep.
So I just throw that out there for you to read and not to deliberate between now and the next meeting, but so that you have where I'm coming from, because I'll be able to reference it now, having given it to all of you.
Okay, very good, thank you. Appropriate way to do it, thank you. Okay, so, I've got Mel's on here, I guess Anthony's here too. Do you guys have anything you want to say at this point, or just in general? So the next thing, I know eventually we'll get to the document, a couple more things I'd like to talk about quickly. I suggested maybe a subcommittee for getting into some of this document detail rather than trying to wordsmith things with a group of 9. Is there anybody else who's interested in doing that? I know it's a,
Yeah,
Tim, you
I
are?
would be, yeah.
okay, all right, that'd be great. And Kevin?
Sure.
Okay, all right, we have our committee. And Rob, you still do it, right? Okay, so we'll be in touch on that. That's great.
And just for the record, there's only 4 of us, so we're not into.
Right, that's why I said, that's it. No one else volunteer, okay?
One of the things we should talk about is, I over the weekend, I had spare time on my hands and went through all the documents that were sent and got my head back into things. One of the things that occurs to me is I have lots of little, I went through the draft charter with a, word by word, line by line, and with my red pen.
Okay, good.
And one of the questions we ought to talk about when we do this is how do we document and who do we give our question? Some of these questions could be legal questions.
Right.
Some of them could be for Mel and Anthony. Some of them could be for us. So anyways, I just think when we do this, there are going to be a variety of comments and edits and suggestions. So we'll have to figure out how to advance those.
Right, and document them, yes.
Yeah.
I agree. Thank you, Kevin. I know you'd be a good help person. That's awesome. Okay, this is great. Awesome. Okay, I'm gonna jump down to annual report submission. So we got a request from the town for they do their annual town report, and so as a commission, as a committee now, he's expected to do one, so I've already sent the information to Charlotte, and she's gonna draft something and show it to us before we submit it.
Yeah, I mocked up a draft already, but
Okay.
I don't want to send
That's
it around
okay.
for more reading for tonight. But
Yep.
it's essentially just based on our minutes and the project documents we have so far. So one page. Do you know how long those things are supposed to be? I put it at a page. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'll circulate it so everyone has a good time to read
If you
it.
don't want anybody to read it, then make it public.
Yeah.
You're gonna put in a group photo too?
But no, yeah, that's right. No, they actually asked for that.
Oh, they did?
If we have a second after the meeting, actually, can we take one? Because they did ask for one. So,
Oh, that's hilarious.
yeah. Stick around for the group photo.
Betsy, can I step back to
Sure.
your email of Thursday, January 1st? In there, you talked about doing some wordsmithing and people volunteering for that.
Yep.
And then I wrote that in the next paragraph, in the same paragraph, you talked about another thing would be an updated list of open items, topics, issues that would be deliverable. So that's something that resonated with me that we ought to do. And then there was a third thing that I don't know where we stand on it, but we've talked about it. How about our list of recommendations and corresponding rationale and comments? Is that
In other words, that's a tracker document.
Yeah, I think
So
so.
the way that I've been thinking about it so far on that is, and I did actually just update the online tracker, so when everyone has access to on OneDrive. So it should be pretty up to date at this point in terms of outstanding items and decisions. I also added a priority column, so we've got high, medium, low. That's somewhat arbitrary based on my assessment, so feel free to go in there. But what it means is when you sort, the high ones are sort of substantive decisions that we've made, and I've noted which meetings they were discussed at, what mini rationale we have, and then if there's anything outstanding. So if you just want to go in and look at just the high ones, so that kind of checks a little bit of that box, although
Great.
more work would be needed. And then I tested it out a little bit when we ask what is the rationale for that decision. we can more or less pull that from the minutes, at least in terms of what was documented there, and that would be my suggestion, is that we start by mining each rationale for each decision as we want it, and then whatever, a subgroup can actually like wordsmith that and make sure it really aligns with our recommendation. But it's kind of impressive what you can do with the AI tools now in terms
Yeah.
of just mining all of those different
Right.
pieces. Yeah,
Great, that's,
it helps at least.
I will take a look. That's great to hear.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I can share the project, but we can actually talk about that if I can share the project with you. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll just throw out, and offline, when Betsy and I got together to discuss some of the wordsmithing that's going to lead to the broader group doing wordsmithing. I want to, before we present that we've agreed to things or reflect in the minutes, I wasn't here for one meeting of importance from my perspective. And so I'd like to, as we mine that, I like the process that I just heard, as we mine that process for things, I'd like us to at least be able to go through, because I may not convince anybody, but I'm opposed to some of the things that I've seen us seemingly agree to, and I may be a minority of one, so be it, but I want that reflected somewhere somehow. And so I don't want to just go through the minutes and say that that's how it all was agreed to, et cetera.
Okay, but I mean, in particular case, you're gonna have to be the one to say, I don't agree with this.
Oh,
so get the document. Okay.
Can give you a list.
Not a problem.
List of them. I can give you a list of them, you know,
Okay.
when we get to
Great,
that
and
process.
and you gave me some of them already, I know.
Yeah.
Right, okay, that's good.
And the
Yeah,
other
because
thing,
we're probably, we would love to, everybody to be in agreement on everything going forward, but not likely gonna happen, so some of that.
and the other piece I had volunteered to do, and I hadn't done it yet, was that spreadsheet with the who reports to who and who's elected and appointed, similar, Charlotte, to what you were doing with the tracker, is just do a side-by-side, say, okay, what's changed?
Right,
And,
Yeah.
so we've got that hopefully on one page, maybe two.
right. Because it's also on the list as we get a
Right.
little bit further, not a whole lot further, but a little bit further on, to go back and revisit all of those based on what we know
Exactly.
now, right?
And that was like, all right, did we?
Because I have
you know,
heard some people say, well, I kind
Yeah.
of think differently
Yeah.
now that I
No,
did.
you can look at it holistically and be like,
Yeah,
okay,
right.
here's what, and then you're like, oh, well, why is this an outlier? Why do we do this? What about this? So
Okay, Good, all right.
it's on my list.
So I'll just throw out, because you're referencing it, so just released a few days ago out on the town website, under the town accountant, is the annual budget. If you click on annual budget on that website, you'll see that the proposed fiscal year '27 budget was just put out, and it's a 239-page document that, included within it, has very nice presentation with regard to organizational responsibility and alignment.
Beautiful.
It's nicely graphed.
Oh,
So
that's
should you,
awesome.
should you want to look at that
I would.
and see how that compares to your list, and then potentially use that modeling, because somebody clearly, whether it's
Right.
Michelle in HR or somebody else, has clearly put it together and capable of potentially updating it for us to say, this is how it exists today, and this is what's theoretically proposed.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Is that like in a PDF? Can you just forward that? I mean, that's
Oh, it's
239
out there.
pages.
Yeah, it's out, so it's, go into town website, under departments, town accountant department, and within the town accountant department, look up annual budget, and it's right there for fiscal year '27.
It's in the beginning. You
Yep,
have to go
it's
through 239
top.
pages to find it.
No, top of list. The previous years are there with regard to
No index.
what was fiscal year '26 and what
No
was,
index, right?
what was approached,
Okay, all
what
right,
was
that's good.
passed during town meeting, et cetera.
That's good. We'd asked for that before and it didn't exist, so that's good.
Certainly appreciate all things you read.
Okay. One of the things I brought up, and so finally we can wake Mel and Anthony up here. One of the kind of questions I had was, we don't talk about appointments. Anybody who's elected are spelled out in detail, how they're there and how, what their roles and responsibilities are and so on. But as soon as we say they're appointed, then they drop out of our document completely. Other documents do it different ways. I saw some where they would just say one of the select, if they're appointed by the select board, one of their roles, it might be to do appointments in general to volunteer boards. It might say, we'll do these appointments, some of them spell it out. And some of them have a whole section on other appointments. And then they give a lot more detail about what some of these appointed positions are and so on, similar to elected positions. So I don't know if Mel and Anthony, if you're prepared to talk to that at all? Can you speak?
Well,
up?
let me touch on it quickly. So, two levels of appointments. There are the paid sort of employee appointments,
Yep.
employees. So those are covered under the two places. One is in the select board section where the select board appoints certain department heads. And then if you go to the town manager section, and I'm getting to the right place in the document. In the town manager section, so we're looking at well, I find it, I'll just keep talking.
Okay.
When you look in the town manager section, the town manager has appointment authority. All the other department heads are not covered by the select board, as well as sort of delegating that authority to the department heads to make appointments or, for employees. And then there's a section E, which talks about appointments to volunteer boards. And so that section talks about the process laid out there is that the town manager nominates appointments to the select board, and the select board makes those appointments unless the appointment authority is defined somewhere else in the charter or in the bylaws. So that's where, so that simple line vests the appointment authority
What
in the
page number
select
would that be
board.
on, Anthony, now that we have page
The
numbers?
town
What-
manager.
Do you have it in front of you?
Oh, the page number, sorry, excuse me, sorry. The page number is page 14,
Oh,
and we're in
beautiful
section
font.
6-1, subparagraph E. I would just, so it's not, so in this version of the charter, and this is something we recommend, because there can be so many, particularly ad hoc and volunteer created boards, to vest the authority with a certain entity, with a certain process for making these particularly volunteer appointments, rather than trying to enumerate all the different volunteer boards or commissions. Before digging into that a little bit more, I just wanted to sort of, under the work plan, I think, or I know, January is dedicated to the financial procedures, and then we're going to revisit the town manager section in February. We can do it. We can actually do it now, but there were some changes to the charter over the break in discussions with the chair. So I don't know if you want to go through.
Yeah, that's next on my
various
list.
places.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So I just wanted to highlight
Okay.
that. So, but as far as appointments, particularly for volunteer boards, that's the section where we've sort of vested the authority for those volunteer appointments.
Okay, so that's there, it's broad, and we don't say in here anywhere who appoints which ones, right? So. It does the select board, because it doesn't say specific ones, does it?
But aren't they all appointed by the select board?
Yeah.
I don't think there's anybody that's not.
But we have some new ones now too, so we have to determine, and we just have to determine that. It said, under town manager right now, E, it says nominate for select board appointment or removal of volunteer members of multi-member boards. Okay, so still the select board does the appointments, he's just, the town manager nominates them.
Unless determined by bylaw or some other
Right.
part of the charter. And then obviously, and we can add language if you want the specificity. Obviously, state law would trump this if it's a board created by state law.
Right, like housing, yeah, right.
Well, Tim can correct me. I think town meeting has the ability to create multiple member boards and committees as standing committees within the town meeting process. I don't think Littleton has done that.
No. I'm trying to think, there've been ad hoc committees from time to time, but I can't think of any standing committees.
Right. So otherwise, I think they're all appointed by the select board only.
Well, that kind of works, having the town manager can nominate people and do that, but the select board still does the appointment itself.
It makes it a lot more simple than going into trying to
Talk about each board.
Each and every one, yeah.
It's just, it's still interesting to me, and maybe it's the right thing, but still, if we have an elected board of assessors, we go in and say, these are their roles and responsibilities, whatever we call them in the charter, right? Now we say they're appointed, it's not there, we don't document it anymore. I don't know if it matters or not,
What do you
it's
mean?
just kind of curious to me,
It's
right?
not documented.
Betsy,
Yeah,
just on the assessors specifically, so because that's a board going from elected to appointed, that one is going to be specifically spelled out in the transition section, just because we're going to explain the transition, this was elected, and it's now going to be going to appointed. So now that's different than obviously all the others, what
Yeah.
we call maybe the standard sections of
Yeah.
the charter. But it's just for those unique cases in this process where boards are going from elected to appointed, they will appear in the transition section, which is really the temporary part of the charter, just.
it's just, in general, though, to me, it's curious, why would you spell out these details for someone who's elected, and all of a sudden they're appointed, and then it doesn't, the details don't get, is it because, I guess maybe because they're appointed, so whoever they work for could change, some of it could just change, as opposed to elected, they're accountable, so you want to be that public in terms of what they do. Maybe that's the rationale, I'm trying to walk through it myself in my head, it's just.
Where are
So-
the requirements for elected officials
So,
stated?
well, we always say that, what are the terms we use for?
Other elected officials, are you saying?
No, but
I
for
just see their
everyone
name
to
on the
say.
ballot. I don't see their.
What's that?
Usually you just see their name on the ballot or.
Oh, no, but on here, those powers and duties.
In the-
Okay,
Okay, they're,
Charter, yeah.
Right.
how are they elected, what is their terms of office and powers and
Okay.
duties?
so within the charter.
Yeah, right, within the
Got it.
charter
I thought you
itself.
meant somewhere else.
No, here, it's just within the
Thank you.
charter itself, that's
Okay.
why it just,
So
So-
if there is an appointed board or committee volunteer, where does it say what their terms are, what their powers are, what their duties are? Is that what we're saying?
and
Like,
maybe they don't need to be, like, if it's for our committee, obviously we're temporary, so it doesn't make any sense, but the Board of Assessors is there all the time, should they be or not?
and where is
maybe
that
not.
usually housed? Yeah.
Mhm.
Where is that? Yeah.
Yeah.
I see.
I mean, the
Where is that
Conservation Commission.
detail
Well,
housed?
can we refer to
The-
a policy?
Their authority is
like something
articulated
else?
under state law.
Well, for the Board of Assessors happens to be, right? Yeah.
But many aren't. So,
Okay.
so I agree with you that I think particularly as we're transitioning, and I appreciate what Anthony said about it'll be handled in transition. Nonetheless, I know where I stand with some that we're currently maintaining as elected. And those that we're flipping, I don't think they should go away. I think rather that I see a cemetery, I'll use that one as an example. Cemetery, I think, until we get into the, document and bring it back out and see where everybody stands and affirm it, we're flipping that from elected to appointed. And as we do that, I feel very strongly, I want their voice and their presence to exist as a check with regard to the statements that the three members that came before us on 3 different nights feel very, very strongly that they feel like they're going to get ignored and relegated to end of the line and be forgotten in a way that really concerns them and motivates me to be talking like this, to say, I think it should be in the document. I think they should have a presence with regard to their existence, even if it's not it may or may not be identified in the bylaw right now. I don't think that one is, but maybe it is and I've missed it. But on an ongoing basis, the sentiments that we heard from them, I think are very critical with Littleton continuing that in the future, and therefore I would want them in the document somewhere with regard to what they, as an appointed group, are expected to specialize and continue to maintain on behalf of residents. Now, to that end, Auburn does it one way, Medway does it another way, in a very organized page, if you will, and gives some license with regard to the existence of these groups that are specialized. And so I find myself supporting what you're saying of, it doesn't feel right to me to not have them, those being the appointed multiple member groups, to be not referenced somewhere. I fully recognize in what we're proposing, the town manager has the ability to propose reorganization of departments and remove people, all of that stuff, but there's something there that I want to give them a perspective that I'm listening to them and motivated to try to keep them recognized on an ongoing basis for future years.
No, I can understand what you're saying, and I wholeheartedly agree. The only thing I want to avoid is that there are so many committees that are set up, and you've probably taken a look at the whole list. I don't want to go into each one of those, because I think that's up to the select board to form whatever committee that happens to be and give them the charge that they have to do it. But I agree with certain committees, like you just talked about, so I don't know how we refine that, but
Well, that one also has a trust fund component too, that I think the terms of the trust, however it was established, should be.
Yep.
Just look at something
Madam
once
Chair?
we're part of it.
Lose
Madam Chair?
Yes, yes, sir.
If I could just, and again, the committee, the committee can decide which way it wants to go itself, but just some information. The three committees that were moved from elected to appointed, they all have a statutory or a component in state law. They've all got some language about what they do and why they exist in state law. I think people just to keep in mind as they think through this is that just because something is not listed in the charter does not mean it doesn't exist. It just means that the committee decided that it did not rise to the level of being in the charter. And before we sort of gave you some sort of guideposts around the charter, it's hard to change. These are particularly entities that with strong political and or operational might be the right word, but really particularly a strong political element. You do find across charters that there will be sort of a different approaches, but one thing that's sort of I see across charters across the state is that communities that do list or try to list their boards and very quickly find what's in the charter out of sync with what is actually the boards and commissions on the ground. And so, the rationale that we bring to committees is that that we bring to committees like yourselves is that if it's an elected body, that is just point number one, they should be in the charter because people are going to be voting on them in the ballot. If you want to put another section for the other ones, you could, but, particularly your charter document is going to be stable for at least 10 years. We usually work in a 10-year review, but in that time period, we find that it quickly becomes out of sync with the actual boards and commissions that are operating on the ground. So I just wanted to, you can decide if you want to add a section or not on that, but just that's some of the rationale behind some of the thinking.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. My thought would not be that we'd list everybody out. It would just be some key ones that you know have been permanent and expect to be around for a long time. That would be part of the thing, trying to figure that out, because it would be, you leave somebody out and then you got another problem, right? But
That was going to be my question, is it worth striking a middle ground there where you say, for the point of transparency, that the Board of Assessors, the Cemetery Commission,
two of the Board of Health, seats,
but the
that doesn't
ones,
really count,
that they are maintained as per state law. We could decide that if it rose to that level, that there is another one we want to throw in there, and we say we feel confident enough that this is such a critical volunteer board or committee that we do think it should be maintained, and then just leave it at that. Everything else is fair game. I don't know if that's ever done in charters, but it would seem to strike a balance between listing every single one of them and not mentioning any of them.
Okay, like I said, I don't intend to resolve it tonight. I just want to bring it up and have people start thinking about it. And do we have any comments back here on that? You don't think?
I think, I kind of agree with you, Betsy, that it would be nice to list the ones that are state law mandated or state law defined in the charter, just for completeness, if nothing else, right?
Yeah.
But you don't have to go into much more than that these exist as defined by state law, right?
That might be good.
We might want to also go, to Joe's point, we might want to go back to the charge that we had. I think we were charged with looking at the boards, commissions, and committees with regard to determining whether they should continue. I know many months ago, I identified several that have not, there's no minutes, they've not met seemingly for 2 to 3 years. I would have preferred the select board to have taken that on as their own task and remove them from the list, but I'm not aware that they have, and they still exist. I found myself just in the last month bringing up one to a select board member or two, and they were like, do we still have that group? Yep, you do. And it still, you know, it still is on paper and on the website, but it's not functioning. But that might, we can ignore the task that we've been given, but I think there's a task in the bulleted items of the charge that was identified that we were to take that on.
Okay. All right, now, do we want to go through look at the document and some of the changes that Collins put in for us based on a document from Rob and me, which we went through a list of different things and see if people have, because I know Collins had some questions on some of them, and there were other comments, so we can see if, make sure everybody's okay with it. I think my document doesn't even have the comments on it that I printed off, but.
So we're dealing
You guys, I'm sorry?
December 31st document
The
is
December 31st
their date?
document.
Okay,
Right.
just want to make sure.
Yeah, so Anthony, can you display that so everybody has it here with your notes, with your comments?
Sure, give me.
Sure.
2 seconds. I'm gonna go a little fast just to go through, and I'm gonna focus on the notes.
Can't read it,
So,
yeah. I don't know if
page.
you can make it
I'm
any
gonna-
bigger.
I'm gonna-
Can you make it any bigger?
Yes. I'm gonna walk you through, I'm gonna read through.
Okay.
Because some of the notes, you know, it doesn't display entirely. So page 3, if we're looking at 2-4, so this was, so there's I guess, so this is in the town meeting section. This was information I think the committee was looking to update in this section around the time of the town meeting. So we added 2 sentences to the end of 2-4, allowing the select board to cancel the fall town meeting. So I highlighted September 5th and 5 petitioned articles in red. September 15th. September 15th is the deadline by which the select board can decide to cancel the fall town meeting. And 5 petitions, and this comes from language that I think was sent to Mr. Brewster, was that the select board cannot cancel the fall town meeting if there are 5 petition articles, already submitted for that town meeting. So that is the proposal, and then also the last sentence is just around that the decision to cancel also has to be posted publicly for residents. So that was an addition that was not in the version before the break. So that's for the committee to look at, and particularly focus on, if you want to keep the language, what are the dates and the thresholds for cancellation?
So Tim, someone that was addressing your concern, that we say we're gonna have this fall town meeting, well, if we really came to a year, for some reason we don't need one, they ought to have the ability to cancel it, not have to do it because the charter says you have to do it. So that's really what this is all about.
Right, and now because we have pre-scheduled spring and fall town meetings, no one's ever going to get a petition and get 200 signatures on it, because they're seemingly going to have no need to, because they know there's a special coming up. But they might submit a petitioned article, and there may be less than 5, and the board can still say, well, that doesn't meet the threshold. We got to, wait for the next opportunity.
So what are you saying?
Well,
You like it or you don't like it?
Well, I guess I like the idea that the board isn't sort of hamstrung into having a meeting that, there's really not enough necessary business, and they go to the time and the expense, and
Right, well, that's.
I'm sure the clerk would feel that way too, that, a lot of times it's close to an election, and it's kind of if we didn't have to have a special, then they ought to have the option to say no. It can wait till the spring.
Okay, Rob?
So I note that Anthony said that while Brewster put that in effect 2017, notes that they've never used it, and never canceled it, they've continued to have both
Sure.
the spring and the fall. And so while I think it's well-intentioned to attempt to give that cancellation, it's that basis of an arbitrary, if there are 5 citizen petitions, select board can cancel it. If I was one of those bringing forward a citizen petition, I would then be, okay, fine, Now I go get 200 people to sign it, and it's kind of a whiplash perspective with regard to, so the meeting's canceled. Nope, now citizen petition can force through 200 signatures, convene a special town meeting for the sole purpose, which then derails all the other aspects of business that I would argue are going to happen anyhow. So I'm of the opinion that well-intentioned to put in a cancellation capability, but the last 10 years, we've had a 2 town meetings per year. I don't see that changing. I'm not for including this, even though I think was very well-intentioned by seeing entanglements with regard to the cancellation process, and that is spurning potentially citizen petition efforts that I don't think should be spurned.
So you're saying you think that the select board might cancel it because there's a citizen's petition they don't like?
No, not at all. No, I'm just saying they may view, I don't think this had happened, quite
Okay.
frankly. I'm beyond convinced that 10-year track record and all the complexities as we expand in terms of our population and complexities of town, that we're forever doing it. So therefore, to even consider and put in some sequencing that gets into, well, but they can cancel it, and then that would thwart the efforts of citizen petitions. Let's say you have 3-4 citizen petitions. I don't find that the spirit of a charter that I could support. I think that we should establish there's going to be the 2 meetings, et cetera. I think that's where we're headed.
I mean, I'm okay with, I think it's a different setup, but I know, I was just talking to somebody from Acton, and he was, and they have a very strong town manager apparently, because he said, we're not having a fall town meeting. And I thought, geez, Acton's not having a fall town meeting? And so that's what kind of got me, oh, maybe we should have something in there. But they have probably a lot of different things in their charter that make things, because again, it seems, I agree, it seems like we always have one. Are there any comments back here from you two about that?
That's our last chance to balance the budget, so I can't think of a reason that we wouldn't have one. Because it's just before we set the tax rate, so that's our last chance to do any final housekeeping.
Yeah, chances are we're going to have one.
Okay.
Right.
And we would,
Okay.
whether we put it in this charter document or not as well. I mean, that's,
But if the charter says we will have a spring and a fall town meeting, then you have to do it,
Yes.
right? You can't just
Well,
say,
that's what
that's
I-
what I'm saying, this gives you an
Yeah.
out to
Yes.
say,
Right,
if it-
if
for whatever
there was
reason, it
no
doesn't make
reason-
sense, then don't do it, but that's my concern.
What if you change it to, provided the select board has not received a petitioned? Drop the number, so it could be as little as 1, or it could be more, so, but if somebody's petitioned something, then you do it.
yeah. I'm trying to think of a time when
No,
we had more than 2 citizens petitions.
know,
And
exactly, yeah, yeah.
I can't even
Right, yeah.
conceive of 5.
Right,
I don't think it's necessary.
you think we're okay just getting rid of it?
Yeah, it's just muddies the waters. We're always gonna go 1 and 2. We're gonna have
Okay.
spring and fall.
Okay, that's, yep, go ahead,
I
Mark.
like the compromise of saying, provided there's no citizen petitions. I think that's a reasonable, I can't imagine there's a scenario where we
Yeah.
cancel them,
Okay,
but
But at least if they have the.
it allows us to cancel it
okay.
if somehow Steve did all his work correctly the first time
Okay.
around.
Well shot.
All right. All right, Anthony, did you hear that?
It's to remove the added sentences, correct? That's
I
what I
say we're
heard?
gonna have it, assuming that there are no petitions.
Oh. Okay.
So even if there's 1, then we still have the meeting.
So change the threshold on,
Yeah, and I don't know about that date. I'm not sure if that date's if that's good to have in there. I don't know how, well, I guess, do we have to have some date in there? But, because that's gonna be depending on other things, right?
Is it too
Have to
early or
decide
too
it
late?
by that date?
Do you mean
Do we
it's
need
too
a date?
early or too
Yeah,
late?
well, it says you're gonna hold that meeting between the first day of September.
Right.
So
Right.
you've gotta put a
Yeah,
stake in the
exactly.
ground
So
when
if-
you're gonna cancel the
Yes.
meeting, don't you?
There you
I
go.
just assume it's implied.
Decide
It's never going to be that early, though. I mean, school maybe hasn't started yet, people are still on vacation. We'll never have a special town meeting by
First
choice
day.
in August, September, and even probably halfway through October.
so we should change it where it doesn't say then, it should say through September, it should just say October,
Yeah,
through, say, so that's another change then.
I just
Should be
think
the
if
first day of
if the
October?
select board is tasked with holding the fall town meeting between the first day of September and the 15th day of November, and we give them the ability to cancel provided there's not at least one petition article, then it's implied that they would have to cancel in that time frame. I don't,
Yeah, but you have to give some notice on how soon you're gonna cancel, I think that's kind of the point. Does it have to be 2 weeks, maybe instead of saying a date, you say it has to be 2 weeks before the scheduled meeting, or something like that?
No, it needs, because of the town meeting report having to be mailed to all households that are occupied, I think it's a very front-loaded,
At least 4 weeks.
Timeframe.
before.
yeah.
yeah, it's about 4 weeks is the minimum you
So
can.
this
Oh,
assumes that
just
a date has been
FYI,
set and then you'll cancel.
just for the committee, so under this version of the charter, they've got about a month and a half from September to the middle of November to have the town meeting. So they've got, so this, I think, again, when I look through the Brewster stuff, what I think it was is if it hasn't, it's put so early in the process because if they haven't scheduled one yet, right, and published the warrant articles and all that stuff, then they're letting people know that to cancel, like we're not even having a meeting. It's not in the sense that they've scheduled it and they've sent out the notices. It's that
Right.
we would normally have it within this time period. We're not going to have it at all. There will not be a publication of articles and things of that nature.
That makes more sense to me that you're saying not that you've set a date and then you're cancelling it, but that you've decided not to even set a date.
Not even get that far.
Yeah.
But then the September 15th doesn't make any sense.
right, because they need at least 4 weeks to get all the
Right, do we even need to
materials.
put a date in there at all, I guess, is the point.
That's kind of what I was
Yeah,
driving at.
I kind of.
But if we're going down this path, even if it's a 0, which I think I could support until I get into okay, what does that really mean? And what it really means is then citizens need to be informed of the deadline that they have to submit their citizen.
Charter.
But I don't think I'm comfortable with it just being that somebody has to look up the form. I think that has to be a select board announcing, we're currently thinking, like they've done. They're already out with their next proposed, meeting in May of
Yeah.
2026, and they did that weeks ago. And there is a timeline with regard to when, if you want citizen petitions, you have to have them in by a certain date, and this would just front load that with regard to the cancellation process. I
Yeah.
wish it wasn't this complex, but I think it is.
But I don't know that that's part of the charter, though, as opposed to the process of managing how the petitions are done and how the town meeting is called.
But the the charter controls when the legislative body is gathered, and this is directly connected to that.
Right. So we're saying it'll be held between first day and the 15th day, or September, 15th day of November. At its discretion, can cancel the town meeting at least 4 weeks before something, or some, not a date, but some time frame.
But as we've discussed in previous meetings, there's bylaws or mass general law that identifies the number of signatures are necessary in order to get a citizen petition in that meeting. And it differs from a special town meeting that requires, when it's not previously scheduled, requires 200 signatures. That's a very big leap between 10 and 200. And again, wish it wasn't this complex, but it is.
But is it that much of a difference if we're saying that previously one didn't know whether there would be a full town meeting or not? Right, we didn't have to have one. So all of the things that we're raising here were relevant then, or I guess is the current state. So all we're doing is saying we are far more confident now that we are going to have that full town meeting, and we're just having one little out to say in extenuating circumstances, because it's not cost effective, we would have an option to cancel. But I feel like if everybody's already aware with the full town meeting that may or may not happen, they're already aware of those processes. I mean, otherwise, how does anybody know when to submit or when to get a citizen's petition? I mean, I don't know, I just think it might be adding complexity for complexity's sake and not really,
It's cold.
Yeah.
It's
I'm
freezing.
trying to figure out why is it so cold?
I don't know.
Oh, is that why?
It seems like it might just be trying to make it more complicated versus saying, this charter is saying Littleton's 99% certain that we're going to have a second town meeting in the fall. But we do want the option to cancel it if we just think it's going to be essentially a waste of time and money. And so for that reason, I don't know if we have to put the date in there, but I like the option to cancel it and just keeping it clean and dealing with all the issues around the specifics of the timeline outside of the charter. Like,
You could propose the language, I don't think you're gonna get there, but you can propose the language, or somebody can propose the language.
Okay, we're gonna take that on and see if we can come up with something that's simpler.
Well,
wordsmithing.
I'm still of the opinion this is one of those things, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Well, but today it doesn't exist, because we don't say today you have to do a fall town meeting. And according to this, now we're gonna say you are gonna have to do it.
Yeah, well,
So it's not.
that's what we do now, so,
Yeah, we have one. We don't say you have to have one. That's the difference. And now we're saying, in our charter now says you have to have one.
Yeah.
That's why. That's why we're having this
Okay.
discussion.
And Ellen, I think you're saying just delete the ability to cancel.
yes.
Just take that out. We will have a fall town meeting, you know, and remove this option to cancel.
Exactly.
That's a very short meeting.
Yeah?
Well, the fall meeting would be short meeting?
Well, if there's
No,
nothing-
we have fall
still
meetings
no.
every year.
If you're gonna.
No, I know that, but if the inclination was to cancel, you could have it, and it would just be a really
Oh,
short
I'm
meeting.
sorry.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. And obviously not really, so. All right, I'm gonna defer that. I'm going our list of things and figure out whether we want to come up with some other simple wording or just get rid of it and say, hope it doesn't come up.
I'm not sure it's, a hill that I'm willing to die
Yeah,
on.
exactly. It's not.
Yeah.
All right.
Just for my own edification, so you're still considering this section, this paragraph? I mean, these sentences?
We're considering it, but we're also considering getting rid of it.
Okay.
So keep it yellow.
Yep, gotcha. So the next one was on the same section, actually same page, 2-6 rules of procedure. So a couple questions were raised here about. Well, let me just take these one at a time. So the first question was raised about the use of the term deciding matters by ballot. So I gave a little rationale, which may be some confusion around what the term ballot means. So I'll just go through this very quickly. So the ballot is not a particular decision, it's just a way of reaching decisions. Ballots are generally written responses, yays or nays, on pieces of paper, as opposed to voice votes, rising votes, and other voting procedures. So what I suggested based on the question was, if the committee is uncomfortable with this language, you can delete it. Deleting it does not remove the option of voting by ballot from the town meeting. It just removes it from the charter. That is still a legally permissible method of voting. So I'll stop there.
I support that.
Yeah, same.
Makes sense.
Mark?
Before you move on too far, I had a question on section 2.5.
Okay, hang on. Let's stick with 2.6. We'll come back to 2.5, okay? Yep. All right, so we're just going to delete these two sentences?
No, well, I'm just talking about one sentence right now, the members of town meeting. I'll do the next one after.
Oh, I see. Just take that sentence out. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's
So-
perfect. Great. Okay, everybody happy with that?
Yep.
Woo-hoo!
So then the next, next question was on the use
Oh,
of
wait,
town
hang on.
meeting.
I'm sorry. Mark has something on 2.5.
On 2.5, you say that we're posting the notice not less than 14 days before the day fixed for the town meeting, but, which is what the current bylaw says. But earlier in the document, you defined a day to be a working day, whereas the current bylaw does not define a day to be a working day. It just defines a day to be a day. So did you mean to change?
Well,
just
but
to
I
be-
thought that the working day was unless it's more than a week, and then it's not. let's see, is that in the definitions, Mark?
It is.
Yep,
14 days.
page 2.
Sounds like a task.
so-
for-
Hang on, maybe I read something someplace else, so let's see.
Nice try.
No, if it's less than 7 days,
Okay. So-
Okay.
So since it's 14 days, it counts as 2 weeks?
yep,
Okay.
is that okay?
Yeah, it's just, I don't know how you define days, because I don't know where she was using them. but- Okay,
Okay, all right,
thank you.
cool, all right. Anthony, you're back up.
So the next one is that, I think there's some discomfort with town meeting time, again, just for everybody's.
Where are we again?
We're in 2-6, page 3. So,
Okay.
just for everybody's clarification, town meeting time is a, what would I call it, a booklet, instructions on parliamentary procedure, so how to run a meeting. You're not required to use it, you're not required not to use it. So I didn't recommend, so if the committee's uncomfortable with that, I didn't recommend alternatives, but you could leave it blank, that's one. You could leave it to be defined by law, or you could leave it to be, which is one I might not necessarily strongly recommend, but maybe be simpler, leave it within the discretion of the moderator to determine, the rules of procedure. I see in other charters that the language to defer to the bylaws here rather than, some explicitly state town meeting time or Robert's Rules of Procedure. I would, the option where you want to have more flexibility, I usually see people using the term will be defined by the bylaws, which again, the bylaws can be changed more easily, but at town meeting, things of that nature.
Okay, Rob, you want to talk to this?
So yeah, I was the one that threw this out a meeting or two ago. Yeah, I'm for deleting this reference. This reference from since we first introduced it many, many months ago, I've learned through discussion with the town clerk that in fact, some of the motions that are permitted within town meeting time, Littleton does not accept according to the town clerk currently, and that would be the votes of revocation and the votes of rescission. And I will tell you that I was very actively involved with the Shaker Lane Initiative, and there were many rumors going around, some of the people that I was interacting with that had some members of the public were considering pulling a fast one or shenanigans during the town meeting and trying to get the vote to take place, and then going to bring up later in the evening a vote to rescind or a vote to reconsider. And I then went to school and bought the book and started to get into all that detail. And therefore, I'd be more comfortable with just removing this to not have the potential for shenanigans to be played and continue to have the town moderator in the authority position to determine how to regulate the meeting, full stop.
Yeah, well, reconsider, I mean, it's not shenanigans. However, we have a tradition in Littleton of not allowing reconsideration. This goes back to Charlie and Don Prouty and, back 100 years. We don't recognize the motion to reconsider anything. And that's permissible in town meeting time. If you read a little further in that section, that some towns don't take any motions to reconsider.
But that's the point, is some towns don't, and by bringing in a town meeting time,
Well, this one doesn't, though. I mean, I use town meeting time as a reference, and I guess nobody knew that until I revealed that, but it didn't change the way I did town meeting. It won't, if we leave it in, it won't if we take it out. I'll still use it as a reference. If people are interested enough to read it, as you were, that's fine too. I thought we just didn't want it to be a mystery what the origin of the parliamentary procedure was. And specifically, it's not Robert's Rules of Order, because that's specific to business organizations and not really applicable to town meetings. But, if it's all about reconsideration, you could rest assured that, I'm not going to recognize a motion to reconsider anything.
Is that in a bylaw?
yeah.
There's no bylaw.
No, I mean, so you said that Littleton hasn't recognized that in 100 years, but is that in a bylaw somewhere, or is that just up to the moderator?
It's up to the moderator.
So a new moderator could,
And reconsideration is not always somebody playing games. I mean,
No, I
some new
understand
information
that.
could have come to light that could change the entire, if there's something that, it wasn't known to the body that now everybody knows, and it might change the way the vote goes, you can reconsider it, but
my question
We
is
generally-
not that I'm against reconsideration. It's just, my question is more driving towards, we say this thing has never happened in Littleton in 100 years, but it's not written down anywhere. So what prevents it from happening in the future if it's not written down anywhere? And I don't think that removing the reference to town meeting time makes this go away. Anyone can go read this, and
oh, sure, yeah, I agree, yeah.
I think it is helpful for citizens to know like what we base our town meetings on.
Sure, yeah, I agree with that.
I was
think
more just
that's-
driving at this hasn't been done in 100 years, okay, but where is that written down? Is that just, we just know that from one moderator to the next?
It's yeah, it's
That's why it's good
passed
to have a
down.
deputy moderator.
So with the insertion of the word on town meeting procedures not otherwise prescribed by bylaw shall generally be governed by the latest edition, does that help? Shall generally be governed?
Be guided by, can we, yeah, I agree with Kevin, is there a way just to soften that language, would
'Cause
that
I-
help?
Sorry for interrupting. Yeah, I like its inclusion. I like the fact that, what?
Town
Who-
custom?
What, yeah, where is your authority, what you're doing come from?
What, yeah, I mean, exactly, that is the standard that moderators use in Massachusetts, and, and usually you learn it, from observing the previous moderator, and it's handed down in some kind of a tradition. I mean, I've learned how to do it by watching Charlie, and, Charlie didn't allow a lot of things, but reconsideration was definitely one of them.
Diane has so town clerk has led me to believe that there is some aspect of law, to Kyle's point, that exists in Mass General Law that provides for a community has to take assertive action to allow it. I'm not trying to get between town clerk and you.
Town meeting procedures not otherwise prescribed, maybe by law, or maybe it should say by law or by bylaw.
But where I'm trying to,
Only the law
the
applied.
point I'm trying to make is that
Right.
the impression that I've been led to believe by the town clerk is that we are protected currently, Littleton town meeting, and you may disagree with that. So I don't want to get in between you and Diane.
Well, it's all news to me. I mean, I'd like to talk to Diane myself,
Yeah,
because this is
I think
kind of
that-
coming out of left field, yeah.
Okay. I was just previously said it, and we're getting to the point, I'm not trying to take you into left field.
I'd be interested to hear like you to finish the point though, because you said, you started off with, it's in the law. Is that, I want to hear the rest of the thought though.
I want to make certain that we have, in the charter document, clarity as to how the town meeting process is going to be done. I'm comfortable with giving the town moderator, the elected town moderator, the authority, full stop, with regard to regulate the meetings. Referencing it the way this is, I think has the ability, from what town clerk has, I've discussed this with her out of concern a few months ago, that we're safeguarding, it's safeguarded today because it's not permitted in Littleton, from her perspective, currently, by law, versus us bringing in what I term Trojan horse of now referencing it, that introduces certain motions that I respect Tim, and again, we've not had any discussion, and I don't mean to elongate this discussion, but that is to say, I would not want motions that I view as very problematic and very challenging with regard to how they might be utilized to the detriment of Littleton residents and those that participate in town meeting, but as the meeting gets elongated into the night, that people go away and you have fewer and fewer and fewer people, and all of a sudden you've got the ability for somebody to spring a motion that that, according to Diane, could be required. And so if we could easily move from a standpoint of Tim's regulating and determining decisions within the meeting, and all of a sudden somebody can put on a motion that Tim's obligated to pursue, and if Tim says no, the person can come from the floor and say, I'm flipping this to town council and requesting a ruling that could get it out of your hands and into town council's hands.
You're saying because if we leave the language as is, governed by the latest published edition, and because those things are in the latest published edition, therefore that leaves us open to legal issues if we say, well, Littleton doesn't recognize that. Well, hold on a second, it's in your charter.
Yes.
Is that the point? Okay.
Yes.
So I guess to that point though, we're not, my understanding is that
Sounds like
by
we need to
saying,
ask
and you change the word from governed to guided by,
Yeah.
but just because it's in town meeting time, the moderator still in that language has the authority to still drive the meeting. And irrespective of whether you like or don't like that provision, it doesn't seem to me that anything in the charter prevents it either way. So at the end of the day, unless you say in the charter, the town moderator may not use this provision or that provision, or they may do this or they may do not, which I don't think we want to do in the charter, that seems too detailed, that it's effectively moot, because you're saying the town moderator drives the meeting, guided by some rubric, and guided by means, yeah, you can pick and choose a little bit what you want to introduce and what you don't. I don't see a way around it unless you were to go through and say, you can use this bit but not this bit, and that just seems too detailed. The last thing I was thinking, it does to me reinforce having a deputy moderator, as we agreed, because if that tradition and that custom and
sure,
that culture is
they've gotta- yeah.
passed down, it actually
Be aware of it,
strengthens
yeah.
that tradition. to
But as
have
Carl
that.
said, I mean, whether you reference the text or not, I mean, every one of the motions in there can be made,
Right.
you know, and it's
It's irrelevant, yeah.
a matter somewhat of the moderator's discretion and his,
So this thing, that I think that's the
Interpretation.
point, does this take away your ability to say,
no,
We're not doing
well,
that
I mean,
at our town meeting.
just thinking back to the last meeting on Shaker Lane, you know, a lot of people lined up to talk to the article, and I think someone, maybe, you know, 2 or 3 in line, that person said, you know, move the question. It's like, well, I didn't feel obligated to accept that motion at that time
Right.
because we'd only heard from 2 speakers.
Right.
So I said, let's hear from a few people. And then as it got tedious and repetitive, then it was like, now we're ready to vote. But, you know, you don't want to sort of, you want to be
But the
even-handed.
question is, this doesn't take away your ability to say, I mean, you're still running this, in this.
No, and I guess maybe the concern is that, you know,
Maybe the guided by, does
some
that do
future
it?
moderator might not, you know, might want to put their thumb on the scale or, you know.
Mm.
But I guess all you can do is pass on the traditions that the town has used. I mean, you know, it would be a break with that tradition to accept any motion for reconsideration.
Okay, what I would suggest is that we do change the governed by to guided by. I think that's a good change. And then you're gonna have a talk with Diane and just
Yeah,
come back
I'll
and
find out
confirm
what
next
the,
time that
yeah.
things are as we expect them to be or as we need them to be.
Yeah, sure. Makes sense.
Are we able to solicit input from town council on this?
Yeah, but I'm not sure I would do it on that one particular item because they're gonna look at the whole document.
Okay.
So we can, but probably someplace we should note these are the items that we want to have
Flag for them.
checked on that. Okay. Still with us, Anthony?
I am, so you didn't take a vote, but the consensus is to change governed to guided.
Guided, right. And we're gonna just leave a little yellow there, because Tim's gonna do some reconnaissance work outside and then just come back and confirm with us that we're good.
Yeah.
Yay. This is another relatively substantive change. So this is under the, and it's funny, we just talked about this. These are the appointments of
Where are
the
we,
select.
where are you now?
Oh, sorry, I'm moving too fast. So we're on page 5, section 3-4. We're looking at paragraph E. This is the select board's appointment authority. So the select board previously had 4 appointments: the town manager, the town council, the chief of police, and the fire chief. And there was a request to include the veterans agent.
I just went to the website and the town, and that's one of the things that is one of the ones that are listed there, the appointments that they make. That's a paid employee as opposed to volunteer positions. So it seemed like it should not be excluded. But I didn't like it, the fact that it got stuck in between the police chief and the fire chief. It just seems like it just would read better to say police chief and fire chief and then veterans agent after that.
Okay, so you want to keep it in and just change that word?
That's all, yep.
Okay. Notes from previous versions. I'm just skipping to the changes. I'll stop here. This was, I think this was already addressed, but if we're on page 13.
But hang on, what about, we didn't talk about the licensing here, right?
Well, what about the
The
ad
licensing?
wording for appointments to volunteer boards?
Which page are you on?
I'm still on 5, but hang on. So, yeah, that's the other thing, so that we still don't have anything in here or about appointments to volunteer boards.
Oh, as I stated before, so the appointments to volunteer boards is in the town manager section.
Well,
That's,
but the town manager says nominates and the select board appoints.
Yeah, correct. So that's the process for the appointment for the volunteer boards. If you want to, I don't mirror that in the select board section, we can.
Well, it's just powers and duties of select boards, one of the things that they do. They're appointing
So
the
you
people
like
of the
to-
boards.
So you like to mirror that language in the, so again, I'll just pull it up. So just to make sure that. you
But are they
say
all
that.
nominated by the town manager?
Well, we haven't gone into all that yet. That's another discussion.
Maybe you just reference the section, Anthony, instead of replicating the language.
Yeah, so we can, so right now under 3 dash, so I'm sorry, let me go to the page. So under past other elected officials, school committee, other officials. Town manager. So if you go to page 14, subparagraph E of section 6-1, I can, again, unless you want to change something, I can mirror this language that the select board will appoint the nominations of the town manager. And I can just, I'm saying we can do the same, or we can reference it, or we can do it by reference in the select board section. I'm just confirming that that's what you're,
I just think it
if you
ought
want
to
to
be
take this
listed as
authority
one of
away
their-
from the.
One of their powers and duties is that they're the ones who are appointing to the volunteer boards, that's all.
Okay, okay, yeah, we can do that. And I thought I heard something about licensing?
Well, on F, so this is, again, I don't know why this gets to me, but here we talk about the select board is the licensing board of the town. But then you talk to the town clerk, and it's, well, they do dog licenses and they do other licenses. Well, and everybody says, well, that's because that's under MGL, okay, but here we say they are the licensing board. So I just think it ought to be more clarified.
I thought they were. I thought it was delegated to
No, I
the,
don't think so. And that's what I thought too originally, but then here, no, MGL says the town clerk does these things.
Marriage licenses.
Yeah, marriage licenses, right. So
Yeah,
it's not a
that's-
hard
I
fix,
s-
it just says, you just, like, be in relation to, it's liquor licenses and business licenses and things like that. And it doesn't have to be a full list, but like these kind of licenses, and then on the town clerk.
Yeah.
Like dog licenses and marriage licenses, not necessarily in that order.
The last sentence does say they may delegate or reorganize
Yeah,
any.
but I don't think they're delegating to the town clerk in this case. I think that the law says.
Oh, okay.
It's different. That was, again, that was my point. And because under Yeah, because if you look at the town clerk sign, it says, well, wait a minute, it doesn't sound there like they're getting it from the select board. It doesn't. It's from, by law, that's what they get. So I just think it ought to be clarified. And I looked at a lot of charters, and they all have this exact same wording. They don't spell it out, so obviously I'm the outlier here, but it's just not clear to me. And we all thinking the same thing, like, oh, because they're delegating it, and that's not what's happening. So I think it ought to say that. I think it's as clear as.
It's leaving it slow. I'm trying to understand. Do you want to enumerate the various parts of state?
I don't want to do all the detail. I don't want to do every single one. I want to just say such as liquor licenses, business licenses, whatever the big ones are for the select board. For the town clerk, such as marriage licenses, dog licenses, da-da-da. Just to kind of give a flavor for these are different things.
Well, the select board doesn't do marriage licenses.
That's the point.
That's the point. But it says here, they are the licensing board for the town, but they're not. For dog licenses and marriage licenses. That's my point.
Say licenses unless otherwise specified in an MGL.
But then somebody's reading it's gonna say,
Oh,
what does
no,
that mean?
but still give examples, but.
Yeah, I know, I
just
don't know
use
why,
that
I just, I don't wanna
Alcoholic beverages.
kill it, it just seems like, I just say such as here, and under the town
Such
clerk,
as.
such as, and
Yeah.
I'm good. Or you guys can all tell me, leave it alone, everybody else does it this way, don't bother with it.
I mean, in terms of, again, just in terms of legislative drafting, this is gonna be a legal document. I guess, we can go back and we can sort of talk, but I guess I'd be curious from the committee in terms of, it sounds like you want a list that's not exhaustive, but somehow brings people into understanding what
Yes.
the limited universe. So I guess I'd be curious if I guess maybe you give me the list of the limited list that you'd like to see there that you think would provide that clarity, that we could sort of start from to sort
I
of.
just gave it to you.
It's in the comment.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
I said, I just gave it to you. To me, it's like the select board is,
Alcoholic beverages,
it's a liquor whatever you
common
want to call them.
victulars or
Common
food.
vitulers, that's what it's
Victulars,
called.
yeah.
And the business licenses,
Entertainment licenses.
entertainment.
The clerk might do certain business licenses.
Yeah, okay, so maybe no on that one?
Yeah,
Okay, well, that's
but
what I
it
need. I
certainly-
need the legal
yeah.
people to know.
Food, alcohol, and
So I-
entertainment licenses.
Anthony, it sounds like that doesn't happen in most charters, but how does it work then if you say in the charter that the select board issues all licenses,
Doesn't say that.
or sorry, the licensing board of the town with the power to
Licensing board.
issue licenses, make all necessary rules, etc.
Right.
But the town clerk is legally responsible for issuing marriage licenses. So how do those two things not conflict?
So this is the same language as is in, actually, not just in a bunch of charters, also in state law. So for the particular license that you're seeking, you would then look to the authority under law that it is granted under, and it will tell you who the person is, or who the entity is that can then grant the license. So, there are probably hundreds of legal licenses that can be granted by various entities across the state of Massachusetts. They're listed in state law, and so that, this kind of would be a reference back to that in a sense. That's really how that's the assumption undergirding that language you see in other places.
So if you changed be as to act as a, does that solve your?
As a licensing board for the town.
Yeah, I guess we're just confused as to how if you say the select board is the licensing board for
That's what Mark says.
to issue licenses, it makes it sound like that's it, select board, everything.
Yep.
Whereas that's not the case.
Mark says, what did you say?
You do,
A
except for
licensing board, but that
those.
doesn't-
But then if we don't want to detail all the different ones, so I guess, yeah, I mean,
But Mark's thing is proposed to swap out be the to act as a.
yeah.
So if someone
Still
went
not
to the
clear to
select-
anybody who's reading it, what does that mean? But they're
But if
still gonna
someone
make
went
it
to
sound
the
like.
select board with a marriage license and said, could you sign it, you'd have to refer them to the town clerk.
Yeah, well, you don't go, yeah.
I know
Sounds
that,
like
I know, but
a strange, like a
It's just an odd
strange
thing.
oddity within
Yes.
the system, because if nobody else has ever noticed
Right.
that or something.
Right, I know, that's, I know.
Keep listening.
All right, so you just to keep it simple, you want to just do the acting as? Or
Yeah.
be a license?
So F
Acting
would
as-
be act as the licensing.
As
board
a
for the-
license, not the, as a
Act as
licensing
a.
board.
Okay.
Sorry to get everybody down that road, but I still, some things, it's like. Okay, sorry.
Are we moving on, or are we?
We're gonna move on, unless you have something else you want to talk about. We're just gonna do it, move
No.
on. It was just-
And now I think I kind of lost my place.
But I don't wanna, I don't
Okay.
wanna move past what I think is Charlotte, you had some edits or some comments?
I did.
They showed up on my version.
Right there.
So these are some comments that I kept them in just for, really for
I
the
think
committee.
those are ones that I
Earlier
added
on-
2 or 3 meetings.
Yeah, she had
ago.
noted to check
So
with
they're
council. on
gone?
it.
Long
I'm
time.
fine.
So,
Yeah, I'm
yeah.
fine. I just happen to see them here.
Oh, yeah, I think there's ones that when I took notes that time.
Okay.
Yeah, so this though, if you were going to page 9, section 4-1, subsection D, the instruction I got from the committee was to remove the reference to school. So, page 9, it's the top of the page. It'll be paragraph D. And it was to remove that entire paragraph because I believe the school committee does not have these officers, or at least you didn't want to reference them in the charter.
No, it was just because we don't list those kind of things for any of the other committees is what that was about.
Yeah, so just letting you know, unless you want to discuss that.
So is everybody for removal?
May I look at it for a
Yeah.
second and see?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I think if we don't
I don't think it needs to
do
be
it for
there.
other committees, yeah.
Okay, everybody okay? Well, I'll make people a minute. Okay, everybody okay with that one? All right, yes, we're gonna get rid of the red.
Okay? So there was a question around moving the housing authority from 5-year terms to 3-year terms. I did some, I can't remember if we already discussed this. In that case, I'll delete this comment. But I did some research, all of the comparable charters to yours. Well, number one, state law that 121B creates is a 5-year term, and then all of the comparative communities to yours also have a 5-year term.
Page 13.
Yeah, I just looked at this other stuff. Do we skip anything else we want to talk about?
We talked about the planning board in terms of.
Yeah, we did. No,
5
so,
to
and
3
I
and
reached
then-
out to a housing authority and Bartlett didn't have any drive to change it to 3, and I didn't hear back from, I think I sent it to Matthew also, so. For right now, just leave it as 5, and if they come back and somebody wants to change something, we'll bring it back up again. Even, I know it's not common, but we changed everything else. We said nothing else in the town is, we changed the planning board to 3, we said nobody else is 5, so it seemed worth at least having the discussion or looking at it.
And then, well, so we can go through this section, but we were gonna revisit the town manager section. The question we already talked about was the nominating authority to, the appointment to, volunteer board, so we're gonna mirror this language in the select board section. And then you talked in depth about the finance committee and you're still discussing the financial procedure, so,
Yeah.
I can, actually, I can go, do you want me to go through my comments on the financial, or do you want to wait for, I know that there's some other documents floating around. I don't know if you want to do this
Go ahead.
today.
So before I think you're on the verge of considering finance section. Before you go there, within Article 6, I just want to bring up in 6.1E, if you folks are open to it, this is the only place where we have the concept of multi-hyphen member. Everywhere else in the document's multiple. So consistency, put it in as multiple.
Multiple, oh, instead of multi-member boards, it's multiple member boards? Is that what you're saying?
It's consistent everywhere else,
Okay,
it's
all right.
multiple, and that's in
Okay.
the definition.
All right, that's fine.
And then with item I,
Did you get that, Anthony?
I got that.
Multi-member boards is multiple member boards.
and then with item I, the capital improvement plan is in 5 years, currently it's 10 years. So do the 10 written out along with the bracket, you know,
Yep,
so let's get that changed, if you're
yep,
open to that.
yep.
I thought on that item, we had discussed saying that the town manager would prepare and present the annual operating budget for the town to the select board and the finance committee. I thought we talked about that.
Which,
Yeah.
You're right.
Isn't it in there?
yeah, so what letter is that, Kevin?
Aye.
Oh, yeah, it's weird, it's not in
Was
there.
that capital provide? Yeah, it did say that, you're right.
did.
We changed that, so it would say to the select board and finance,
think
finance
even in
committee and
the-
select board.
December 5th version, it said
Yeah.
that, yeah.
So I is,
Okay.
you're saying to change I?
Yes. It doesn't just say, here it just says prepare and present, but it's gonna prepare and present to the select board and FinCom.
Does that make sense?
But that's what I would change it to.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about highlighting this coming out of this meeting. So, you've got this, I won't say process may not be the right word, but you're doing some of the, the engineering in the financial procedure section, which may affect this. So I think some of these, what I was trying to do was to
Affect
highlight
that.
some of these financial procedure sections in the manager section, because we may have to revisit and rewrite them anyway once we finish the financial procedure section.
Yeah, so I don't think either thing's gonna change that, though.
Okay.
The town
Okay.
manager's gonna present the operating budget, the balanced operating budget to the FinCom and select board. For 10, capital plan for 10 years.
Okay.
So,
All right. I have no other.
Go ahead, Rob.
so glad to hear there aren't any others. My question would be, there's numerous sections highlighted, and there's stray comments that I brought up, one from Charlotte, and there's others in the document as well, if you open up all the different things. Are we all agreed? We've discussed everything that needs to be
What
agreed?
else are, I don't know what they are, Rob, so tell me what they are.
No, that's, okay,
I don't know what they are.
okay.
Can I reframe the question possibly? So we're gonna get together and do some wordsmithing and stuff. Do we want a history? Do we want a history of comments? Are we talking about deleting them, or?
No, they're gonna stay. Rob is just saying there are some in here that we didn't just talk about, and I
But-
don't have them printed here, so I don't know what they are.
But my point is, I'm fine with clear them all out. There's no, I don't want to see any more yellow highlighting or references of stuff that we've previously discussed in previous meetings, like Charlotte's examples. I want them all removed based on our discussion tonight. Like, we've been through subject to the wordsmithing document that the
So we
subgroups
can-
now.
So we can resolve the comment without deleting
There you
it.
go.
Yes.
So you resolve the comment and then it's
Fine, yeah, fine,
there for
Yep.
fine.
reference, yeah,
Yeah, I just don't want to keep tripping over them
yeah.
over and over and over again.
Okay, so Anthony, did you pick up on that?
Yep.
There's a
Yep.
way in Word to resolve those comments?
Yep.
Without deleting them.
But Betsy, there were a few things you wanted to keep in yellow
Oh, yeah,
because
right,
they
yeah,
were
you gotta
still
keep the ones that we're
being.
still talking about, so, yeah. If we need to go through those, are you comfortable, Anthony, with, which ones get resolved and
I
which ones
think-
don't? Or should we go
I think we'll
through?
do an interim version. We'll talk about it during our
Okay. All right.
planning meet
All
on
right,
Monday.
let's do that.
So Betsy,
Yes, Mark?
I had a few things.
Sure?
For all the different elected officers, the procedure for when you're no longer an officer isn't consistent. Some say until a successor has been qualified, some say until you've been sworn in, some say immediately after the election. It should just be, whatever it is, should be consistent.
Yes, it is, I agree with that. Hang on, let me just
So-
get to the point.
So suggestion, because I raised that
Yeah.
with you in our 2-hour
Yeah.
meeting, can we offload that request for consistency to the wordsmithing group? If we could do that in order.
And it might be that the town moderator and the town clerk actually have someone, there's training that's required, so it should be different. But even the boards that don't have quote-unquote training, they're not consistent.
Okay, okay,
Complete
And
agreement.
the other thing that I struggle with is on page 10, it is section 5(1)(c), where there's a vacancy in an elected position. We still don't really define what that means, what the process is. Right, it says it's a vote between the remaining members of a board, but it doesn't really qualify what that means. Is it, take the planning board, if there's a vacancy on the planning board, so there's 4 members of the planning board and 5 members of the select board, is this now a 9-member body voting? Or is it a 4-member body voting and then a 5-member body voting? What is the actual procedure? Because I swear we've done this many times, and I don't think we've ever done it the same way twice. So whatever it is, it just needs to be really clear, and this is not.
I think it's in the general laws, how you're supposed to fill a vacancy.
So can we move that one also to the wordsmithing group and then bring it back to everybody?
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Just one
No, I
thing
agree.
on that. Yeah, one thing on that,
Yeah.
we're talking about the voting procedure if you have vacancies on your board.
Yeah.
That usually would be in the general provision section, which is, stuff like that would be in the general provision section, which is, it's one we haven't talked about yet. It's Article 11.
So then why is it here, Anthony?
Why is it in?
Why
Well,
is it
no,
in
no,
this,
you've
why
gotta-
why
you've
do we
gotta-
have it here in 5 then?
You've got a section, in 5, you got a section about filling vacancies. I thought the question was about how the boards vote if there is a vacancy.
It says, whenever a vacancy occurs in the offices elected pursuant to this article, the vacancy shall be filled, blah, blah, blah. So you're saying that should
That's
not be?
filling a vacancy. I thought you were talking about how the boards vote when there is a vacancy.
It's for filling a vacancy is what it's doing.
Oh.
So filling the vacancy should be in 5(1)(c).
Yes.
But
Correct.
how a board votes when they have a vacancy is in the general provisions.
Okay, so
I-
2 different
If you
things.
want to have it there.
If
yeah,
you
that
want to
mean-
put it in
Okay,
there.
yeah,
Okay.
gotcha. Okay. All right, so we're gonna clarify that. You have something else?
Nope.
No. All right. Whew. All right. The only other thing then, I guess, would be, what you want to talk at all about, the appointments, we still, maybe, probably not now, we probably need to get information together, get people, things out to people, get people to think about it a little bit ahead of time, is just who's doing these various appointments that we talk about, and is it all just gonna be the town manager make nominations and the select board does appointments versus other things, so. But probably not tonight. I think we can finish early tonight is what I think.
For
One
change.
small admin question.
Okay,
for-
absolutely.
So,
QL and up.
Oh, the public forum, too,
Yeah.
dates.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Yeah, I had it on my list.
the quick admin one, just, I don't know if you saw it, the newsletter is live with the blurb. We had discussed a series of topics, and so I think we'd thrown out the idea of the strong town manager model. Again, very informational, and then a question. Everybody good if that's the next blurb, and if so, I can mock one up and circulate it for comments.
Yep.
on the OneDrive. Okay.
Thank you.
Has anyone responded to the
I was
survey?
gonna ask Kyle if you checked the survey.
I have not.
Let's see.
Let me take a look.
While Kyle's doing that, Betsy, do you think, and I don't know, you guys, what's where's the three of us? Is it?
Four.
Four, who's the fourth?
Rob and Kim.
And me and who?
Me.
Oh, gotcha. And do we have a way we're gonna memorialize, should we go get a clean copy of, I don't mean to micro,
That's okay.
should we have a marked up version that
You should.
that people could see what, yay or nay, what it is?
So what do we need, an updated version of what we just went through?
Does it, I think we start with some form of clean
Yeah.
version.
Clean copy.
Sounds
Uh,
like Anthony's
maybe
gonna
we-
make changes.
Yep.
Hand that over.
So the next version we get.
So Anthony, can you work on putting the changes that we talked about tonight and getting them in the document rather than waiting for next Monday for our call? Can you work on that can we get that this week?
I think the earliest you'll get them is by Monday of next week.
Okay, we'll work with that. We'll plan for it for Monday then, okay?
And then you guys, you're
And then
gonna
we'll
have that
we'll have to
on,
do some emails and schedule things and so on.
because we can put that on the OneDrive. And then even if it is still the marked up version with all the comments, you can just look at it in simple markup, which might be nice because it might get a little headachy otherwise, but then we'll have that archived
Right.
document.
Yeah. Okay, and then, okay, so let's talk about public forum.
The next public forum. So the last time we met, we talked about doing it on a Saturday morning, switch it up a little bit. Plus it's dark and cold at night and nobody wants to go out. So I looked at the community calendar and I've got 3 potential dates that we could consider where nothing else is going on. Saturday, January 31st, if we thought we could pull it together that quickly. And then the February 21st, which is the last weekend of school vacation. And then February 28th.
So isn't January 31st Super Saturday?
No,
That's the
February
7th.
February.
February
Good,
7th.
okay.
So I don't, January 31st, I think it's too soon, and February
Right.
21st with school vacation doesn't work, I don't think. So I would say February 28th.
All right,
Say
there we
that,
go.
let me look at my calendar before
So I can confirm the
So I
space.
can book my trip to Aruba then, right? Aruba, not Aruba, someplace.
Not in the Caribbean.
Without warships everywhere.
Where you can get
Just buy travel insurance.
Okay, 28th.
Betsy,
Yes, sir.
I just throw this out there.
Yeah?
We tried with Shaken Lane to have something on a Saturday, in fact, $100 million project in
Mhm.
the town. Rob was the only citizen that showed up. I'm just
Yeah, we talked
throwing
for-
this out there for your committee.
Yeah,
And we talked for an hour.
yeah, no, I agree, there's a lot going on the weekends, but
Don't expect a
Trying
big crowd.
Yeah.
Everybody still
Do
good?
we, I mean,
do you want
as
to
a
do it?
lunch
Nick?
option is another option, but either which way, you're limiting people's attendance.
Yeah, there was a pretty passionate comment about people being able to get to meetings. Well, I guess maybe it was the town meeting the person was talking about, but even maybe at this meeting. So I was in favor of shaking it up and doing something
Yeah, I mean, we
different.
could
But
try it. I mean, we
Have
did
it
an
at a
evening
slightly
one.
earlier time. Again, like if you have it earlier, it works for some people, but not people who are working full time. It's like, yeah. I mean, maybe the trick is just to not have them the same each time.
Yeah,
Right.
just
So we
mix it
have a
up.
weekday
Yeah.
night, so we try one on a Saturday and just get it.
So do you want,
Yeah.
is
Yeah,
9
different
too
crowd.
early, is 9 too early? Should we do 10 to 11, 9 to 10? Does
Have
anybody
to
care?
provide coffee, right?
yeah,
Well, coffee.
We'll bring coffee, say, we'll
yeah,
have
coffee and
coffee.
donuts.
Come have
Talking about
coffee at least,
weekend.
that's easy, right?
Yeah, 9's too early for a weekend.
For good young kids it is, yeah.
What do you want to do the afternoon, like 2 to 3? No?
Oh, that's like such a dead zone.
10 to 11 is better.
10 to 11.
All right, 10 to 11.
On what date?
28th?
February 28th.
Yep.
And then topics, content. Are we gonna, I kind of like the idea, maybe Charlotte, of recycling your newsletters as a discussion point, and then we can say, and we heard these surveys, hopefully more than one or two.
How many?
6.
Okay.
That's awesome. It's not 0.
Right?
But if we use that as a
Yeah, I think so.
guideline,
This
as a
is where we are,
discussion
yeah,
point,
and
and we've
that's-
already got a lot of the
Yeah.
content
Mhm.
prepared,
Mhm.
and just kind of use that
Use
as
the same
baseline.
PowerPoint template as before, just kind of.
Location.
I'm gonna see if we can get the room next door, the Shattuck Center.
Same place as
Center on
last time.
Shattuck, yes.
If you can't, she hasn't booked it yet because she didn't know the
Right.
date.
Yeah, but they're not open on Saturdays, so.
Oh, they're not?
We have keys.
Oh, maybe the library. Then I'll ask the library if we can use their room.
See
Downstairs.
if they have something. If not, we can probably get the other one, but.
Yeah.
And then there was a request to have it, yeah, we need to get it, what you call it, recorded, LCTV.
Oh, right.
Yes.
Yeah, be okay with that, yeah.
Definitely.
Good.
And then when is the next newsletter run?
So the January one just went out.
Right.
So then it should be, yeah, published in February, so at least we'll have the elected
Okay.
versus
So we'll have
appointed
it,
blurb,
yeah,
and we'll have
February
the
first.
strong town manager blurb, like, published.
All right, so we'll work on getting that part.
Thank
set
you
up.
very much. Thank you, team, for that. All right, our next meeting is Tuesday, January 20th.
Send your AI delegate.
No, I'm gonna send my avatar.
Yeah, please do.
Sorry, I'm on a work travel.
I do have it on my calendar.
I might still be able to join.
I'm ahead of the game.
See my schedules.
This is great. Thank you for pointing that out, all the org charts
Yeah,
and stuff.
Yeah, it's nice. Flows.
Yeah.
Plus, it's them saying it as it exists. with
Exactly.
certainty.
Because when I met with
Okay.
them at the beginning of the summer.
Motion? Alan?
Could, I just.
Go, hang on, hang on, hang on.
I just want to throw, I know you said it online to all of us, but appreciate Kyle doing the efforts they did for many weeks to get done what's now out there, and hope the public's aware that it's out there, because it provides a lot of good data as to what we've been doing here. So appreciate it.
Yeah, that's
Some people out there don't know, so some of the documents now that we've been using, and some of the research documents and so on that we have, and the charge that we talked about from the state, those documents are now out there on the Charter Committee website. Thank you to Kyle.
Good job done. I saw it the other day, I went, wow.
Sometimes it pays off to be a nerd.
Not that deep.
All right, hang on, Tim, hang on, because I still need a motion.
Okay. Move that we adjourn.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, good night, everybody, thank you.
Thank you.